Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Norton Man Reviews, and it's been a minute since I've posted anything. Last stuff I did was Age of Apocalypse, doing every issue of that X-Men, legendary X-Men run, and it kind of took it out of me a little bit because I was doing every single issue, and some of those titles, some of those issues were kind of a drag, nothing that really piqued my interest, stuff I didn't have a lot to say for, so took a little bit of a break. I was also gearing up for the local comic convention, FanX, here in Salt Lake City that my brother Rob and I do every year. Finishing up my latest comic and drawing some other stuff to sell for prints and stuff. I'll do a separate video kind of showcasing that before the show happens at the end of September. But I wanted to get back, and I had a kind of a spare moment, some free time, and I wanted to just do something that I wanted to do. And I've done a lot of Marvel, done a lot of X-Men stuff, and I wanted to do something different, which is not this, and it's not these or these or these. But I'm going to be doing a lot of DC stuff coming the way. Maybe not exclusively DC. I was looking through my stuff, and there's some Image stuff that I want to do, some other Marvel stuff. So we'll see how I want to do it. And I've been trying to figure out how I want to revamp my channel a little bit, do different formats, and maybe this video will be the same as you've always seen. Maybe it will be kind of different in other ways. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But anyways, I just kind of want to show you some of the stuff that I pulled out that I'm going to get to eventually with DC. Because my brother and I will tell you, along with our other brother, we grew up Marvel zombies, you might say. Started with X-Men, spilled over into Spider-Man, and then eventually other Marvel heroes, Avengers, Fantastic Four, and the like. We weren't really into DC that much, but we were obviously aware of Batman, Superman, all that stuff. It wasn't until later in life when I started collecting comic books pretty regularly, and I got a job at a comic book store, that I started reading more and more DC. I worked with a guy at the comic book store, kind of definition of like what a nerd is or looks like, you know. Very nice guy though, and he just had a wealth of knowledge, and he was my boss, so to speak. And anytime like I didn't want to work that day, I'd be like, hey, tell me something about Green Lantern. He would just go off, you know. So I started reading, like learning more and more, and I started picking up some DC stuff to read. So eventually we're going to get to all of these books sooner rather than later. I mean, put in the comments out of some of these things what you would be most interested in seeing first. Batman: The Long Halloween is one I'm going to definitely do. This is probably one of my favorite comic book storylines of all time. And when I do the review, I'll talk more about it. And I have an idea of, you know, The Long Halloween is an issue and a murder that happens on every holiday. I may do this and have an actual long Halloween and do a video on the actual holidays. So it would take a year to get through this thing. That might be a thing. Identity Crisis. I heard a lot about this when it was coming out. Done by Brad Meltzer, who's a Pulitzer Prize winner, I think. Like novel writer. Cool covers by the late Michael Turner. This was kind of interesting. It got there was some controversy. Oh God, controversy is already opening up too. We'll probably get to that. Kingdom Come is fucking fantastic. Artistically, it's like one of the most amazing things. And this is probably one of the first DC comics that I've read, you know, when we were younger. Because like just this Alex Ross art was so amazing. There's some kind of a documentary coming out about this soon. So maybe I'll do a video around that time. Death of Superman. I played the video game. The video game is probably funner than this book is. This is fucking classic 90s DC comics. And, you know, we'll probably look at this. Also, the Funeral for a Friend and the Return of Superman, like the follow-up books, we'll probably look at these two. Batman Hush, also written by the guy who did Long Halloween, Jeff Loeb. Great art by Jim Lee. There's some really good stuff in here. This is when Jim Lee first started working at DC, which meant the end of his Marvel stuff. I mean, the end of his Marvel stuff was an Image, obviously. But then he went to DC and became who he is, and probably never see him on a Marvel book again. But here's hoping. But we'll get to that. Batman Court of Owls by Scott Snyder and the amazing Greg Capullo. This was an amazing story. Then this is volume 1, and then there was the City of Owls, and then also Death of the Family with the Joker. I have all those things, and we'll get to all 3 of these eventually. This was a great book, and this was something like I was picking up the issues of regularly. Also, then Justice League and Avengers. This is kind of I had more fun with this book than I thought I was going to, with art by George Perez, who's like, that's the artist you want for a book like this. These are all things we're going to get to eventually. What we're looking at today is an art book by the legendary Jim Lee. Icons, they're calling it, for whatever. Jim Lee, man, he's a god. Some people don't like him. Some people think he's kind of trash. I've seen some people put him on the same level as like Rob Liefeld, and I don't think anyone knows what they're talking about when they talk like that. You can say that he's like a sellout and he's not as good as he was, or he lost certain things, but he is still such a good artist, and this book really cemented it for me. I always knew that he was good. I grew up, introduction of comics for me and my brothers was pretty much him on X-Men, and, his legendary Uncanny X-Men and X-Men run that he did until he went over to Image. Did Wildcats, and my brother Rob on his channel, go check it out. He's done several videos of Jim Lee and talked about his art, about how the height of his artistic career to many of us was when he was on X-Men, and it just he lost something as he went, which happens sometimes. You think artists get better, but they just change, and maybe your tastes change along with it. When he went to Wildcats and when he took sabbaticals after doing that, you could definitely see a change in his art. My brother Rob did a couple of Gen 13 issues that he drew, and his art just was not as good. And then eventually he got back to DC, and he did Hush, right? And we'll talk more about this and how his art progressed from there. And originally I don't want to see him on Batman, and I looked at, when I first looked at it, wasn't too impressed, but as Batman Hush went, his art just got better as he kind of found himself again, it kind of seems. So then he got a deal with DC. He did Batman Hush, he did Superman Man of Tomorrow, I can't remember what that was called, written by Brian Azzarello. And then he did, when New 52 came out, he did Justice League. He's done a bunch of stuff for them. Doesn't do any interior or monthly comics anymore. He's fucking president, CEO, COO, like lord of whatever, does whatever millionaire Jim Lee wants to do. And so he's made a career for himself, and, makes millions of dollars doing it. And I can't fault him. If I was given the opportunity to just kind of he's not in charge of DC, but what I mean. He has a lot of input and power within that company. So we're going to look at his. This is just all focusing on DC. This is a thick book. I don't know if we're going to get through all of this in one video. Maybe we will, and I'll fast forward through some of it on certain things. But we're just going to be looking at his art, so we don't have to talk about any story or anything like that. The DC Comics and Wildstorm art of Jim Lee, Icons. So let's take a look take this dust protector or whatever off, and you see the fucking black and white, the pencils of this. This is the kind of stuff, when you really look at it, if you're an artist, if you're into this kind of stuff, that makes you realize how good he is. And just, this is the kind of shit that I would want on my wall. That's a cool poster. That's very dynamic. It's powerful. Has the Holy Trinity on it. Like, the colors are amazing. The inking is cool. But if I had the opportunity, I would definitely want this original art on my wall. But I never will have that opportunity, because I don't never make enough to buy anything original from him. But this is the kind of stuff we're going to be focusing on because it shows a lot of his pencil work. Years ago, Jim Lee came to Salt Lake City where my brother Rob and I live, and I think Rob told me about it. He's like, oh my God, Jim Lee's going to be here. We got to go. We got to see him. And we went and we stood in line. It wasn't a huge line. It was just at a local comic book store that I've never actually only been to like once or twice. And we waited, and we could bring in 2 books to have him sign. It was kind of a last minute thing. I'm like, oh my God, what do I got? And I thought I had some X-Men stuff, and I think I did, but I couldn't find them in a rush. So I grabbed this, which he signed here, and I had a copy of Wildcats #1, which I have signed, and I have in a frame, which isn't up on a wall because I don't have a wall to put it up on anymore. But he's a tremendously nice guy, also tremendously short. I mean, I'm 6'1". He's 5 something. He seemed just very small man, but powerful dude. Very nice guy too. We'll see a lot of these 3 together. As you can see, this is a few years old. It's kind of coming out and fraying a little bit, which is unfortunate. That's a cool image right there. Colors are doing some awesome work. And what I never realized is how much like the coloring just kind of makes the image pop and stuff like that. But we're going to see how it's penciled, how he draws some of this city stuff and what he draws and doesn't draw, and allows the colorist to complete for him. Cool Justice League. I don't know what that was from. So yeah, so look at this pencil. Batman, Nightwing, and just he knows how to put the detail. He knows how to do the perspectives. He puts the time in making the full image. I mean, I'm not going to make this a Rob Liefeld bashing hour or anything like that, but Rob Liefeld, he knows how to do this. A couple of guys running at you, looking at the camera. He would never do anything like this with the backgrounds and the lighting and the detail and stuff like that. I wouldn't either, but I'm not paid to do shit like that. But Jim Lee, this is why he's such a god. I'm going to use that word a lot. And we're going to see the comparisons of a lot of the black and white pencil ink, and then what it looks like finished. I think it'll go through stages with the inks and colors and stuff like that. And we'll see a lot of Scott Williams on his inks and how he and Jim Lee have formed such a good relationship, a working relationship, and I'm sure a friendship. And how Jim Lee can draw something and knowing that Scott Williams is going to ink it correctly. Jim Lee, let's see, 2006. This is some Wildcat stuff. There's Spartan, Grifter, whoever the fuck this is. An introduction about Jim Lee. I mean, his parents wanted him to be a doctor. I think he went to med school for a while. I'm not sure. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But eventually he had a passion for drawing, and he went there. He went that route, probably against his parents' wishes, and, I think he made the right choice. I mean, even something as simple as this is kind of Sin City-like, lots of blacks and whites. He just knows how to use those in a proper way, and I'm sure this probably didn't take him very long, but it looks like again, a masterpiece. More about him, cool Rorschach. I don't know if this was a cover in Batman Hush or just a promotional piece. It was in Wizard magazine. So this goes through sections, so we're going to start off with Batman. I mean, this is cool. Right here, he does a lot of ink wash. Pencils and ink wash, and the colors by Alex Sinclair. I love these sketches. This is the only place you'll see some of this stuff. And as a casual reader, most people probably don't give a shit, but if you're an artist or you are invested in these artists, you're going to really like this stuff. That's cool looking. I mean, that's kind of a typical Batman pose. He's kind of redone this one, him walking or standing, holding his cape like that a few different times. We'll see that. I mean, this is some cool stuff. You can see the black and white and how he did it down there, and then how it eventually gets to covers. Pencils, inks, and whiteout on whiteboard. Sometimes he'll ink his own stuff a lot, and then a lot of times Scott Williams will do it. I'm not sure who did that one there. Yeah, this stuff, like, it talks about sometimes you'll draw on a colored piece of paper, not just white, which gives you more opportunities for shading, putting the blacks and the whites on with the whiteout of all things. I mean, this shit is cool. I mean, the figure of Batman is always awesome, right? And he knows what he's doing. It's big, it's powerful and dynamic, and he has a great eye for anatomy and everything. But then this kind of shit, this gargoyle thing he's standing on, and the detail he puts into that, like, did that come out of his head? Like, it's so hard to think of these things. It seems simple, but it's hard. And then the way he did the inking is done here, and then just like the outline of a city back here. That's cool. I mean, are we going to see a colored version? Doesn't look like it. I mean, gosh, that one right there is just fucking awesome. The use of the blacks and the whites. I've seen that quite a bit. That's a cool little image. Here, it says another study of Batman. The colored paper sets a mid-tone to work both highlights and shadows. Pencils, inks, ink wash, and whiteout on colored paper there. This, he's doing a Dark Knight Returns homage. This was in 1993? September 1993. Huh. That's quite a while ago. You could definitely tell like the Dark Knight, kind of Frank Miller vibe he's going here. So we'll talk about Batman Hush. This is what got him back, like mainly back into DC. I always thought this like said something up here, but I don't think it does. YMCA? Yeah. And I think we'll talk about this more when we talk about Hush. I mean, we'll talk about the art here. I've read in interviews that Jim Lee, he was trying to, like, he wanted to do Hush. He wanted to do a monthly comic, and he didn't want to do, like a brand new series or a mini series or a limited series or anything like that. He wanted to just, like, jump right in the middle of the book. So it's like number 612 or something, a random issue. And I don't think, like, they even like promoted him doing this until he had like 6 or 7 issues in the bag, because he just had to kind of prove it to himself. So I remember seeing in that comic some of the kind of colors, and like this looks like watercolor. Gray wash on artboard, colors by Alex Sinclair. This is a cool image too. That was from the comic book. This is when he was having like some kind of nightmares or thinking what could happen, and it gave Jim Lee the opportunity to draw something just beyond the black and white inks and stuff. As you'll see here with the Green Lantern, there's the pencils that eventually gets turned into this image down here. Yeah, pencils, ink, and gray wash again, colors by Alex Sinclair. I mean, this was a big double spread page in one of the issues. There's Batman Nightwing running up to all the Batmobiles, and it was like, let's get in the car. Which one? And like, this was cool because there's the old kind of Batmobiles. This is one from the 60s TV show. Here's one from Batman Forever. There's the one from the Batman animated series. This one, it looks like the Tim Burton version, but it's not quite that. It's missing some. I think that's what he was going for, and why he didn't do that, I don't know. But just all these, like, look at this fucking technical shit and the perspectives and this. Like, how many people can do something like this? A lot. I'm not saying he's the only one that can, but man, when you make your money doing the money shots like this, you don't really need to do anything else, but he will still take the time when he did. That's kind of cool, seeing the layout and seeing what the eventual final art looks like. Batman and Catwoman getting a little tongue action there. You like these little thumbnails and sketches for what he would eventually become the cover for one of the issues. Sexy Poison Ivy, just doing some sketches, probably getting a feel for the characters and how he wants to draw them. Cover down there. Again, thumbnail, pencils, and then inks. And I think this is what I was saying, talking about the relationship between the inker and the artist. Like if I were to pencil something for somebody else to ink it, I'd be like really tight and very specific with my pencils, so the inker doesn't have to like think a lot, just like go over it and do your thing. When I ink my own stuff, I'm very sloppy and lazy because I know how I'm gonna finish inking it in the end. Here, he looks like he's sloppy and lazy a little bit, just like these random things. He just kind of, puts the line here for his underwear, and then he has like these different shadings and just, where it's supposed to be black. He's not putting the X's or anything, but then Scott Williams, he just knows how to draw or how to ink over Jim Lee. And Jim Lee probably has utter and complete trust in anything he's doing. He has to, for how long their relationship has been together. This was either a cover, gatefold art for the cover of Batman 619. And this was in the same issue, I guess. But here's how he's kind of figuring it out. I don't know, for some reason this reminds me of an Eric Larson drawing. Someone just jumping crazily like that. I think he went the proper route by just having her stand there looking cool. And there's this Joker with his goddamn nose. That always just seemed weird. I know he's kind of going for a Mark Hamill Batman animated series vibe, but I don't know if it works here. Another shot of the pencils to the inks and final colors. That's just such a cool image. And this is cool. I remember seeing this and really enjoying it. And there's something to be said about just seeing all the blacks being put in and just being nice and crisp and clean. But man, there's something that is just so awesome about this pencil work in here and how he does it. I mean, he does the cool shot of Batman, but he takes the time to put the detail into the caves back here and all this technical shit and fucking Alfred back here. And then obviously Catwoman. So good. More gray wash or ink wash. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, ink wash and white out and stuff. That's just fucking awesome. I need to draw more on a different colored paper. I do it all digitally, so I can do whatever I wanted, but just the way he does the snow and the backgrounds and some of this shit, just so cool looking. I mean, there's colors by Alex Sinclair, so I'm trying not to take away anything from that guy. It's hard to know. I mean, he did the colors over here, but I think these were just done by Jim himself. And I love this, his hand, his fist sticking out of the shadowed cape there. I mean, look at that knee and stuff like that. It just fucking looks awesome. That's gonna be a lot of what I'm doing. It's oh, look at this, it's awesome. More awesome stuff. Figuring out the dimensions and how a statue would look. Sometimes statues come out really cool looking when it's modeled after someone's art. I have a statue of a Mark Silvestri Batman from Batman Black and White where he's sitting on a throne. That looks really cool. I haven't really seen stuff of Jim Lee's where I'm like, oh, like Jim Lee's stuff looks so cool in statue form. But there it is. I mean, that Huntress looks pretty accurate. So is this Hush here. Black and white stuff. I mean, that looks familiar, right? He says here, when I ink myself, I tend to spot more blacks instead of having a gray value that I'll create by having a lot of crosshatch lines. I sort of changed my style to a simpler, straight black and white type of style, so I'll spot a lot more blacks, and consequently the work comes out more graphic, more powerful. I guess. What is this? Let's see. This is from a backup story in one of the Batman Gotham Knight tales that led to Jim Lee's first Batman stories, by a script by Warren Ellis. This is kind of cool, like looks like a phone line, with a phone cord, making the panel borders. I mean, here's kind of what we're talking about. This is Jim Lee, 1996. So this is a few years after he did his X-Men run, and then he did his Wildcats, and I don't know, there's just something, like he inked himself here. I mean, all this background and detail is still amazing, right? There's something about this Batman, his face here, that's just like, ugh. This is when he just wasn't at his best. It's kind of a weird thing with the cape going down. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Another design that got turned to a statue. All-Star Batman and Robin. We'll get to this eventually, right? We'll talk about this and how infamous it is, but we won't talk about the story here. And just like looking at some of his art, again, cool sketches. That's always fun to see the pencils to the final color. I don't know, for some reason I really like the simplicity of this Robin, where he just did the kind of the face, a few lines to indicate the cape, and then that was it. I like the scruff that he's putting on him here. Wish I could see what the final inks looked here, because like all this scratchiness with the pencil, like was this just all black, or how did Scott Williams or whoever inked it interpret that? I always thought this was a fucking awesome image, this cover. And again, I feel that when you add the color, your focus is on Batman and Robin here, and you don't really see the details and how good this city is with this perspective. I mean, what kind of a perspective is that? It's like looking down and away in so many different directions. All that detail. I just think it's really, really good. Again, Batman's cool. Look at all this city scene back here. All this detail. Sorry if I'm going by too fast. Feel free to pause. I mean, I'm not gonna there are gonna be times I'm gonna this doesn't work for me, or this looks kind of weird. And again, I'm not saying I could do any better, but for some reason this looks off to me. This section right here, I don't know what he could have done, but I love this perspective. They're jumping down a hole or a sewer, or something like that. Yeah, all this stuff is so good. How we can draw these faces with these scratchy lines. Oh my God, jeez. Thought I was going to get run over by this goddamn Batmobile, by the goddamn Batman. I mean, took the time to draw this deer, these deer. Black Canary. Yeah, I remember her from that. I mean, I like these sketches down here. She looks more traditional here. This design, I don't know if that was Jim's idea or Frank Miller's idea. This All-Star Batman story is supposed to take place in the same continuity as Frank Miller's other Batman stuff, Batman Year One and Dark Knight. I guess. This one of Jim Gordon. Just fucking awesome. I mean, he knows, like, I couldn't do this. Like, he must have, like, did he have conversations with the inker / colorists? Because, like, I would feel the need to put all the detail down here. But he doesn't. He knew it was going to be like a light source or something from the city. And he didn't need to put in all that detail. Ugh. Like, that's when you know how good of an artist you are. With, like, knowing when to put so much detail and when not to. When to stop. This is all very cool. Again, I don't know if I really paid attention to any of this kind of stuff in the final art. Oh, there's Joker. Is this what led to Jared Leto's Joker? Which isn't great, but I don't mind it or hate it as much as others. But this seems very much like an inspiration from that. This is cool. This was for Heath Ledger. Before he died, obviously. Again, with this goddamn nose. Just doesn't work for me with his art. Everything else about it is awesome. Cool stuff, cool stuff. This is a cover, I think, and then made into a statue here. The use of the shadows and knowing how to use them from the spotlight. Batman Family. This was done by a few different artists. There's Jim Lee who did Batman and Batgirl. But different artists, Lee Bermejo, a couple others. Again, ink wash, whiteout. I would love to have this on my wall. Fucking cool looking. Oh God, Jesus, Batman, look behind you. God, its fucking nose is even worse. Yeah, this just doesn't work. That just doesn't work for me. I mean, his fucking teeth are crazy too, but somehow that works. But this nose just doesn't. But then he didn't do it. Wait, did he do it on this version back here? I mean, he did it there, but this version, like, the noses are fine. Oh. Now we're on a Superman. What was the... For Tomorrow? Was that what it was called? I like that Jim Lee drew this. Alex Ross painted it. You definitely see both of them in that. That's a cool image of Superman. That's cool too. You probably don't get to use a lot of like shadows on Superman because you want to keep him kind of in the light. But yeah, it's called For Tomorrow. I remember reading this. It wasn't, I mean, he did this after Hush, where he just like everyone was like in love with Jim Lee again. But this, I don't know, it was just not as fun. for whatever reason. Not as memorable. That's cool. Head is too small. Cracking an egg here? What's going on here? Is that the bottle city of Kandor? Or is it just a fucking sphere? Who knows? Recreation of not its first appearance, but is that the first Superman comic in full color? Thumbnails. I have found in my comic that in my drawing, when I'm doing comics, that I tend to go faster if I just do all the thumbnails, as many as I can. Sometimes I have to stop. Like I have a 24-page comic. Often I'm not going to do all 24, and I'm going to do like 12, and then I just don't have the mental energy to continue figuring that out. So I'll start drawing, but then I'll get to a point where I do it more. But yeah, if I have like the thumbnails down and just that piece figured out, then I can just start drawing without thinking about it too much. I tend to get more done faster. I always just thought this was like a Neo thing. Him stopping the bullets. I mean, there's the fucking bullet time right there. It's supposed to be just him moving so fast that the bullets seem still. I don't know. This is cool. Him flying through the water, going up and then splashing down. And like there's the ripple effect or the water tunnel as he's coming down. So he looks like he gave a lot more shading here, and seems like he lost it over here. That's interesting. Punching Wonder Woman. That's not cool. That's cool though. I mean, he did the Batman. Did we not see it? The iconic Batman pose? Anyway, maybe we did, but he did the reverse with Superman here. Again, I don't know, it just doesn't translate to a statue very well, in my opinion. IMO. Supergirl. Super hot. Wonder Woman. He didn't do a Wonder Woman comic book, but he's drawing her, obviously. I really like this face for her. I'm always trying to study how people do black hair when they're inking it, because my comic book, my main character Bliss is black hair, and trying to figure out the highlights in her hair. Some people draw it very well, and I'm trying to study to this day. That's all cool. That's hot, sexy Donna Troy and Wonder Girl. Wonder Woman is just the best. Oh God. Then there's the All-Star Batman version. Just imagine Stan Lee's Wonder Woman. I remember getting that, where Stan Lee, he just like came up with different variations of the iconic DC heroes, and Jim Lee drew his version of Wonder Woman. I have that somewhere. I'll look at it maybe. Trinity, showing all three. This is kind of cool, showing the inked one, and then on this page, going into the pencil version. I like this. What was this? Let's see. Trinity issues. And so they're fighting The there's Ultraman, Owlman, and Power Woman. Where does it say? Superwoman. Owlman, and it's kind of cool that they're not fighting their counterparts. Batman's fighting the Wonder Woman counterpart. Superman fighting Owlman. Wonder Woman fighting the Ultraman. There's the color versions up here. DC Heroes, more just Justice League stuff. That's a cool fucking shot. The Flash. What the fuck? Huh. That's cool. Infinite Crisis. I have that too, somewhere, and I wanted to go through that. This was kind of around the time that I was getting into DC. It's a weird, complicated storyline, and probably, I don't know how it's revered amongst the DC fans. I don't think as well as it should have been, but it's a follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is like DC's most famous storyline, I think. But there's some cool Jim Lee art by, again, Alex Ross, coloring and painting over it. Jim Lee did covers for a lot of those issues. There's Superboy Prime and the fucking Green Lantern Corps fighting Superboy Prime. There's Martian Manhunter there. You can tell like this is the Hal Jordan version, so he doesn't get lost. You can see it connected there. Guy Gardner. John Stewart. Oh, there it is. There's Superman there. I didn't even see him. Wait, were these guys there too? Oh yeah, there's Superman. There's Power Girl. There's Earth, whatever, Superman. That's a lot of detail, man. It'll take some time. Wildstorm. The Wildcats. Who are we? The Wildcats. Who are we gonna beat? The Wildcats. Yep. I mean, we all know that this is the cover that I have signed by him from that issue. That's cool Grifter sketch. Oh. Check it out, Robert. It's fucking a cool image of Warblade. Without those fucking... He still has a weird tube tentacle thing. Tentacle. Yeah. I looked at this issue. This is X-Men Volume 4, Number 1 in 2006, where he did one issue of Wildcats. Like, we're rebooting it again. But then we're not. Those are some cool pencils. Grifter was cool. I think my brother thought my main character, one of my main characters, Kyle Sills, was based off of him, and it was not. They had a lot of similarities as they went, which kind of like annoyed me. But I always kind of like this character because he kind of reminded me of my own. Cool Zealot face drawings. Was that Wildcats number 4 or something, which is a homage to X-Men number 4 that he did. That was Wolverine, Jubilee, and Gambit. That's cool. Voodoo. That's a cool picture of Grifter. Maul. Hey, my God, that's weird and creepy. What is this? Lee's 2005 concept design for Maul. So is this what Maul was going to look like in that series that didn't go anywhere? That's kind of a cool fucking... I mean, these tusks on his back are still stupid. What is the point of that? He looks more like an animal. Like a beast. I think these are from, yeah, some of the sketches he did that was in the Wildcats trade. This is cool, sexy, and creepy all at the same time. These are some pages of that Wildcats. There's Voodoo and Spartan getting on. I'd say, like, don't demonetize me, but I'm not monetized because I don't have enough followers or anything to do that yet. There's like this picture of Voodoo here. That's cool. See, this is what my guy looks like. Backwards hat, sunglasses. This whole thing with his hair sticking out of the thing. I used to do that kind of shit. And then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. No one does that. It's like this is during a time, 98. Again, Jim Lee's art just wasn't how it used to be. Like, was he just phoning it in? I don't know. Gen 13? Oh. This is cool stuff. I mean, here it looks like my brother Rob, he talked about the Gen 13 issues he did. Oh my God. Is that going to be the thumbnail? Anyways, the Gen 13 issues he did, and Rob was mentioning how it seemed like he was trying to emulate J. Scott Campbell's art to give him a break. And he just kind of failed, which Rob was totally right. But here, it looks like he was trying to just being his Jim Lee self, and that's probably where, he should have continued doing that. Right. Gen 13, Volume 2, number half. None of that is cool. I mean, it's cool and everything, but I don't know. Damn. Miss July. Captivating image of Miss July is from Gen 13 Yearbook 1997. Inks by Richard Bennett. Colors by Wildstorm FX. Alright, Jesus, now I'm in a conundrum. Do I use this as the thumbnail, or do I use that? What's going to get more attention? DV8. What was that? I think that was a dark reflection of Gen 13. Yeah, they were trying to capitalize on the popularity of Gen 13. I don't know or think this went anywhere. Maybe Robert has it. He has everything from Image. Divine Right. I remember reading this once. I have no idea what it's about. I can't remember. I'm sure my brother Rob will do this at some point. I should have said. Took the opportunity, right? I don't know what any of this is about. I guess it would tell us here. The Adventures of Max Faraday, a 12-issue miniseries created by Jim Lee, which inspired the question, what happens when a 20-something dedicated slacker and pizza delivery boy is granted godlike power over reality? I mean, do we need that question answered? I feel like it's been done to death in movies and shit. That's kind of fun and cute. I'm sure this is a memorable villain. This Divine Riot, it was in the Wildstorm universe, so I think some Wildcats and Gen 13 characters showed up. Deathblow. I mean, oh, that's cool. I like that. I know Jim Lee, I think Rob and I looked at one of these issues together on his channel, and I think he was inspired by Frank Miller and what he was doing on Sin City. And I think, yeah, my brother Rob on his channel, go check it out, watch all the videos. He did one of Frank Miller's Sin City comics, and there's a letters page, and Frank Miller's shitting on Jim Lee and some others about like emulating him. It's like, go, like, I spend all my time like defining mine, go define your own and do your own kind of shit, which I'm like, I guess, but also at the same time it was kind of paying homage and all that. And it's funny that Frank Miller and Jim Lee joined up on together on All-Star Batman. Stormwatch stuff, that's cool. Authority, coup d'etat. I always like this image, this cover here. That was kind of a fun storyline. Wildstorm, like Authority, kind of like took control of like the governments of Earth, all of Earth. I can't remember, but then some of the people, like some of the other characters, like Spartan of Wildcats, who were involved in it. It could have been better than it was, but I remember kind of enjoying it. Captain Adam Armageddon. Oh yeah. So eventually Jim Lee brought Wildstorm. He joined DC and along with all his Wildstorm stuff. That's why Jim Lee wasn't in like the Image United stuff or anything like that, which is unfortunate. But he had this character, Captain Adam. Something happened in DC comic book where I think this guy disappeared and he ended up in the universe of Wildstorm. So that's kind of interesting. All this is cool. That's hot and sexy. That's kind of cool. Ex Machina. The Intimates. I have no idea what this is. Sleeper, that was an amazing comic book. That also had something to do with coup d'etat. Set in the Wildstorm universe. Maybe I'll do that someday. More Wildstorm stuff. Vertigo. Transmetropolitan. Never read this. This guy's name is Spider. Something, isn't it? Jerusalem. I want to say Solomon. Spider Solomon. It's Spider Jerusalem. 100 Bullets. Preacher. See, I did read these. I have like several trades of Preacher and several trades of 100 Bullets. I eventually kind of gave up on both of them. American Vampire. DMZ. Boy, he was just drawing everything, wasn't he? That's really cool. These pencils. Death. Weird War Tales. DC Universe Online. I tried playing that game because it was free, but it just wasn't working for me. DC logo, that's cool. Batman Begins. Huh. He did some storyboards for... Hold on. Huh. It says... Jim's storyboards for the DC spin, the rapid animation which ran as part of the opening credits of Batman Begins. I don't remember this at all. Let's go back and watch that movie like I need a reason. Superman Returns. Here are some unused images that he created for the film's opening credits. Halle Berry's Catwoman. So this is all like movie stuff. Cover art for Catwoman, the movie #1. Never watched that movie. Probably never will. I do have this idea to maybe do another channel, maybe do it on this, but kind of start reviewing movies and do every single like comic book movie, even the shitty ones. Force myself to watch some stuff. That's an idea. I don't know. Google promotional material. That's cool. Oh, a gallery. That's cool looking. Wildcats. Dark Side. I mean, this is all just similar stuff that I've talked about. His black and whites, his detail on the backgrounds and gargoyle shit. This is like every single like Marvel character in one, it looks like. Or every comic book. I don't know, there's Wonder Woman shit, Cyclops, Wolverine, Batman, Captain America. The fuck is that about? More Hush stuff. Wildcats shit. Opportunity taken. An index. What is this? This is a Legion of Superheroes thing. Sexy ladies. Wait, what is this? I gotta go back. I gotta read what this is about. I don't know what's going on here, but somehow they meet up with Jim Lee and whoever this guy is, maybe a writer. Jim Lee was on the Muppets, or not the Muppets, Sesame Street once. They were showcasing like Asian Americans and different careers that people have done, and he was one that was showcased. Cool stuff. There's Jim Lee, man. God amongst men in the comic and art world. Say what you want about him. You can't say that he's a bad artist. You can say that maybe you don't enjoy his work. It's too flashy. It's too Jim Lee-esque. I've seen people say that, which I get. You can say that you don't enjoy his art, but you can't say he's a bad artist. You can say that about Rob Liefeld, that I don't enjoy his art and he's a bad artist, because he's bad in so many ways. Jim Lee, for the most part, knows what he's doing. He is a master of his craft. And he's gone through his ups with X-Men and his lows with mid-image stuff. But I think he like kind of came up again. And I watch him, I follow him on Instagram or Facebook, and just some of the drawings and sketches and random stuff he does. I'm just like, oh, that is so good. Often, like I kind of talked about, when you put the color on it, it's just not as good. But man, he's an exceptionally good artist. One of my top 5, maybe top 3 of all time. Maybe my favorite, if I had to say. You know, kind of go in phases. Like sometimes I'll like Mark Silvestri more than Jim Lee, but then there are times I just think Jim Lee is just like the best thing ever. And again, he's an extremely nice guy. As far as I know, I don't think there's been any controversies with him. At least not in my book. I met him. Nice dude. Very happy for him. Great career. Thank you for doing everything for the comic book world. And thank you for watching me go through this. Thank you for anybody who's following me. I'll try and get more videos up as they come by. Again, if you have any thoughts of comics that you want me to do, whether it's these ones, other things that you want me to do, let me know in the comments. I'll be doing some other kind of videos, some movie reviews, I think, more video game stuff, more videos of Rusty. I don't know where he was. He was here for a minute, and then I had to leave and do something, and then he left before I started the video. Somebody wanted me to do a David Finch art showcase. Like he has like the art of David Finch, which I've ordered or did off his Kickstarter. I haven't gotten it yet, so I'll do that when it comes out. But thank you for watching. This is an hour of your life you'll never get back, but thank you for giving it to me. Hit that like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. And as always, I'll see you in the next video, whenever the fuck that is.